Hello and welcome to our geocaching video. Today we're going to find out what geocaching is. I am Kathy Harriet from the Punta Gorda Charlotte Library, and I am here with Spencer Pullen from the Punta Gorda Charlotte Library. So Spencer, what is geocaching?
So geocaching is basically a worldwide treasure hunt that anybody can do. Started back around 2000 when they flipped the big switch, so that's when they allowed consumers to have access to all the GPS coordinates. A little bit more accurate than like what was usually reserved for the military. So that's kind of what allows us to be able to do this. I believe the first geocache was up in Oregon. It was a 5-gallon bucket out in the middle of the woods that somebody had put out there as a test. And you just wanted to see if somebody would go out and find it, and sure enough, that's kind of how the whole game got started.
That sounds fun. Is there any special equipment that you need to be able to do this geocaching?
All you really need is a compatible smartphone device, if you have an iPhone, Android, and then you can download the geocaching app, and that's from Groundspeak. And that's really all you need to get started. Now, what some people do is, if they really get into this, is they use what's like a handheld GPS, and kind of what that looks like. Just to show you, I have one. I started out with just the phone and the app, and that kind of got me started, and then I got a little bit more serious into this. So this is just a plain old handheld Garmin that I got. You can see it's pretty small. And the advantage of something like this over your phone is that it takes AA batteries that can be swapped out in the field, where it's harder to do that obviously with your cell phone. And the other thing is the battery life on these is much longer than on your cell phone, because what you're going to find is when you start using the GPS on your cell phone, it's really going to draw the battery power quickly. So
yeah. And can anybody geocache?
Yes, this is a family-oriented, fun game. It's built for anyone. So, for example, you can do a difficulty rating, or I should say terrain rating of 1, which means it's wheelchair accessible. And then also you can do a terrain up to 5, which means you need special equipment. So you might need scuba gear, climbing gear.
Scuba gear.
That's for people who are really die-hard serious about this.
That's interesting.
But I haven't done any of those, obviously. I kind of stick to the lower terrains.
Yeah, I think I'd have to too.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly athletic, shall we say.
But no, it's the game was designed so it's great for families who, if you got a lot of kids and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can download the free app and get started with that, as long as you have again, smartphone just to get started, anything that can connect to GPS. And it's really just a great way to get outside with your kids, get them off the couch, just be outside. And one thing I found with geocaching is it will take you places in your backyard that you probably didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
So we're here in Charlotte County, and I've been to parts of Charlotte County I didn't even know existed, so that was kind of a cool benefit.
Now, when you first start out geocaching, it's pretty cheap, correct?
Very cheap.
Mostly gas.
Mostly gas and some time. The only thing it costs, and this is totally optional, is if you want to swap items with geocaches. So they do, part of the fun, especially for the kids, if you want to get them involved, is you can go to the dollar store, get some little trinkety type things, and then you can swap out something. So for example, if you find a container that's got a really cool little figurine that you want, you can take that, but then you have to then replace it with something of equal or more value. So that's why generally people go to the dollar store. You go on Amazon and just buy some kind of, it doesn't have to be expensive stuff. It can be dollar stuff. It's just a fun thing.
Just a treasure that you can find.
Yeah, exactly.
And the rule is, if you take something,
you have to
leave something.
Yep.
What else is in a geocache?
Well, generally what you're going to find in a geocache, when you find it, is there's going to be a logbook. And we kind of have one here that we can kind of hold up here to show you what a logbook generally looks like. And they can come in all different shapes and sizes, but this is an official geocache logbook. So what you'll do is you open this, you'll put the date, and you'll put your geocaching name, whatever that is. And if there's any cool thing that you want to write down, you can always do that. Say, hey, this is a great place. Thanks for bringing me here. I didn't know this existed. It could even be maybe to a monument or to a statue, and you can say, oh, I didn't realize about this person. Thanks for bringing me here. I learned something today. So that's kind of another neat benefit
cool.
of all this. But that's the whole thing, is basically the logbook is generally what you want signed. That's the proof that you were actually there. And then you also sign it digitally on the app.
Right.
And it's kind of on the honor system, so.
Now, if you find a geocache, you keep that a secret, don't you? You don't go around and say, ooh, it's over here. You don't want to give out the secrets.
Well, geocaching has borrowed a term from Harry Potter. It's called Muggles. So for the people who are not playing the game, who are not in on this, they are what we call Muggles. And they're generally the people when you're rooting around in the bushes with your cell phone and they're wondering what in the world's going on. They're the ones that are going to ask you, what are you doing? But basically, to just the everyday person, you wouldn't exactly be broadcasting that there's a container over there in the bushes. That might also raise some concerns. But for the most part, and if you do run into one of these Muggles, then the thing to do is to try to convert them into a geocache. You tell them what a great idea this is, and get their family out and get geocaching.
Bring them over to the dark side.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then, so that's definitely worth trying to do that. That's a lot of fun.
So when you are out geocaching, how easy are they to find?
So there are some that there's a difficulty rating, like the terrain, that goes from 1 to 5. So the difficulty rating of 1 means it's going to be fairly easy. There's not going to be anything that's going to be, there's no puzzle to it. It's not a multi-cache. There's not multi-steps to it. It's basically a container generally, and it's going to be fairly easy to find. So it could be like at the base of a tree. It might be under a lamppost, something like that. Now, if you want something that's really challenging mentally wise, then there's some that, again, they're like in a cryptex that you have to figure out the code and then spin the barrel and then get a part to get the logbook, because that's the whole point is to sign the logbook. But so it can be as hard or as difficult as you want it to be.
And what do the geocaches look like?
Okay, so geocaches come in all different sizes. They can be really, really small to even to a lot of people use those old World War II ammo cans that are metal because they're waterproof. A lot of this is all going to be outside. Oh, one thing to note is that when you go to look for a geocache, one of the rules is it should not be buried. It should be above ground, so you shouldn't have to go out with any kind of shovels or anything to start digging anything up.
Oh, good.
But they can be a little difficult to find depending upon what it is. Now this is a nano. It's very, very small. This is my pinky. You can see how small these guys are. So
I'd never find that.
Yeah, these are magnetics. So if we were on a metal park bench, this could easily go up under here or something like that to hide it. They do get a little bit bigger. Here's a bison tube. So again, this is basically waterproof. It's got a little O-ring in there. You just unscrew this. Generally, these are great to hang from trees or fences, something like that.
Won't the silver stand out though?
They do come in different colors, but again, if you're trying to go for an easy one, hopefully it's silver or blue or red, and you'll kind of look at something and say, what doesn't belong in this picture, and that's generally the geocache. Now, something like this is a, as you can see, this is kind of like a little prescription tube, but this one's actually more of a earth green, so this is going to probably blend in a little bit more. So if you put this in a crook of a tree or something like that, it's probably going to be a little harder to find. Here's some different ones. This is a neat little box that definitely would hold your logbook like we have here, and then you could put your pencil in. So that's kind of a neat idea. And then they do have these kind here. This one's actually round, it's magnetic, and it actually has magnets on the bottom. So if you had some place that was metal that you wanted to stick to, you could stick it to wherever it would need to. And so that's kind of a cool little option there. But they can be as small as those little nanos, or they can be as huge as, I've seen them as 5-gallon buckets too.
Now you were talking about a multi-step geocache. Tell me about that.
So the multi-stage geocaches, generally you start with question on the app, and you have to solve some kind of riddle or puzzle to get you a set of coordinates. And if it's only 2 steps, so once you figure that out, then basically you can put in the coordinates into the app or into your Garmin, and then it will then take you to the actual place to where the cache is.
Wow.
Some of them can be multi-stage, like 4 or 5 different steps before you get to the actual box. So again, that would definitely be a project for.
That'd be a good one for kids to go.
Yeah.
If they're not too difficult, it would give them some brain work and some physical activity.
Right, and this is a great way to also introduce your kids into reading maps and dealing with longitude and latitude. They think it's fun to watch the compass on the app or on the Garmin go around, so that you can kind of point them in the right direction, so you can give them a sense of direction. So there's really a lot of good building skills here for the kids.
While I was doing some research before this, I noticed that there's something called a virtual geocache.
Yes.
What are they?
So virtual geocache, for example, if you cannot put a physical box like one of these in a specific place, you can have them, like for example, it might say, go in front of this statue and take a picture of yourself, and then you get the point for it. So that's kind of a way to, again, another way for you to go around and look and learn all about somebody or a museum or something in your area. Disney World, I'm sure Disneyland is the same way. They don't allow these types of objects in the parks, but they do have virtual caches, so you can just go to a specific place, get your photo taken in front of whatever it is that they want you to do, and then you get the point for it.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Can you put a geocache inside a building?
As long as there's permission. So that's the thing with when you go to place a cache, which we're going to talk about in another video, but you want to make sure the cache should be with the owner's permission. So if it's inside the building, like for example at the Mid-County Regional Library that we have, it's part of the Charlotte County Library System, there is the second stage, because it's a 3-stage cache, is inside the library, but obviously we've got permission to put that there. If you're going to be going out in the grounds, as far as outside, then it should be either on public property, or if it is private property, then they should have asked permission to have it there so that people know that it's there.
So they're not tromping through their rose bushes. Yeah,
looking for a box. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this sounds like a lot of fun. So if you're going out to geocache and you have your bag with your tools, is there anything else that you should bring with you?
Yeah, specifically if you live in a warmer climate like we're here in Florida, it's warm most of the time. So then if you're going to go to like a state park or something like that where you're going to be hiking and you're not going to have access to water, something like that, sunscreen, definitely bring your hat, bring your sunglasses. And I kind of brought this up here, but I found this at a discount store, and it actually has little pouch to put all your stuff in, and then it's got these 2 little holders to put I put 2 16-ounce bottles of water in here, so that will definitely keep you going while you're out there and you may not have access to water.
That's good.
The other thing is to think about if you're sensitive to anything, like for example bee stings, something like that, you want to make sure that you have your medication or whatever it is you need with you. If you have asthma, just make sure you have your inhaler with you, those kind of things, because again, this depends on if you're out in the woods, depending upon how deep out in the woods you want to go. Obviously, if you're staying within the city limits, that's not going to be such a huge problem.
So Spencer, tell me about trackables.
Oh, trackables, they're a lot of fun. So what a trackable is, it can be usually you'll see companies will do a commission of these, like for example, DuckTales, if anybody remembers that cartoon from the 80s, 90s. They put out a set of trackables, which are these metal flat pieces that have individual serial numbers on them. And what you can do is sometimes they'll give them away as a promotion, or you can buy them. And what you do is on your account that's on your phone, or you can also go on the computer and do this, log into your account that way. And then you just log in that you now own this specific trackable, and you then release it out into the wild. So for example, it means you just put it in a geocache. Now you may come across these when you're going from cache to cache. They're not meant to be kept. They're meant to kind of be moved along. So for example, if you find one that has like, it could have like a trinket with one of these little dog tags attached to it with a serial number, you can go and punch that into your app while you're out there in the field, and generally they have a goal. So for example, with mine were from DuckTales, they're all ducks. I'm from upstate New York, so I thought I wanted them to tour all of the waterfalls in upstate New York. So water and ducks, they kind of go together. That was the goal for those, but believe it or not, somebody has taken those and they flew to Germany, and they've gone around Germany for a while, and now I've just gotten recent updates that they're now actually in the Netherlands.
Oh wow.
So this, again, it's a worldwide game, so they could go anywhere, and it's nice that people have been passing them along and updating the pictures on the site.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like scavenger hunt where you have to find where your item is going.
Right.
Very
Exactly.
cool, very cool. Now, are there any contests or special events based on geocaching?
Oh yeah, so if you go again on the app, you'll find that one of the things you can look up is these, what they call CITO events, CITO, which is cache in, trash out. So the whole premise of geocaching is earth, taking care of the earth, keeping it clean. So what a lot of people will do is that they will go, as to, for example, like into a state park or a local park, they will take garbage bags with them as a group, and then they will place new caches, but they will also pick up trash and take all the trash out to try to keep the earth clean as possible.
Wow.
So that's kind of a cool, and it's also another neat way to go meet new people who are into this and compare different gear that's always coming out, things that might be interesting. But that's just another way to get together with everybody in the community.
That's a really cool idea. Yeah. Now, are there any, like, you know how you have bird lists where you have a life list? Are there any geocache lists where you keep track of a specific place?
Yeah, so since we're in Florida, Florida actually does have a specialized list, and you can do a search for Florida State Park geocache list, and this is an example of the list. So what you can do is you can download this, or wherever state you might be watching this, and when you visit the state parks, you can find the geocache that belongs to this list. And then you put in a word here. Now in this case, I believe there's 74 parks in the state of Florida.
Wow.
After you get 20 of them, you can then email this sheet to, in our case, Tallahassee, and you get what's called a geo coin. So it's like a nice heavy metal coin medallion that they will then send you for doing this. So it's kind of a neat way, again, to go and take your family to maybe some different state parks they might otherwise not have known it was there, or to try it out.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely, again, it's a great way to get the family off the couch, get them outside, and if you got kids, teach the kids on different skills, and it's just a nice, cheap way to have some fun outdoors.
Very good. Now, when we meet again, what are we going to talk about? What part of geocaching? Are we going to go out in the field and do some geocaching?
Yes. We're going to go out and we're going to show how to actually find a geocache and how the app works. So we'll show you exactly step by step how that works with the app and what it looks. We're going to find a geocache. We're going to show you how to log in the logbook, and so it should be a good, fun time.
Sounds like a lot of fun, Spencer.
And before I also forget, Crystal Diff, who's also with the Charlotte County History Library System, she's also going to be doing a video for the History Quest.
Oh, yeah.
So look out for her video. That'll be coming up as well.
Crystal does some good videos, so
Yes.
You'll enjoy that. So you want to meet in a couple of weeks and do another video where we show everybody how to geocache?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like a plan. All right, we hope you've enjoyed this video and that you get out there and geocache. If you find anything, just drop us a comment down below and we'll be happy to see what you found. Thanks a lot and take care. I'm going to show you the geocaching app that Spencer was talking about. Let's go into the App Store and click on search. Type in geocaching. Search. And believe it or not, there's a lot of apps that you can use. But the one that Spencer was talking about is this geocaching app at the top. I'm going to click open. And here is a map of this area showing where the geocaches are. I'm going to click on this one so you can see the information screen. And that is the geocaching app. Go out and have fun, folks.